Nintendo Switch 2 is just getting started when it comes to the exclusive games, releases, and hype, and I am here for it. It is really exciting. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is that recently I had a interesting discussion or debate with someone. If you haven't seen the video, it's about an hour long, or more like the live stream. There's about an hour long of debate in there, and there's a lot of people who are living in a completely different world when it comes to what is happening with the system, the momentum that's going on, and people that are actually in the know and watching and looking at the games and kind of feeling what is happening right now. And I've been covering games long enough, man. This is kind of more of just like an off the cuff type of video, but I've been covering games long enough to know when there is something happening, and you can see that with the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to momentum. So I'm going to break down a number of things that I think is going to be happening here over the next month or so that's going to make it a lot more exciting when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, and things are really just getting started. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. So let's go ahead and jump right into Pokemon Pokopia. Could this be a big system seller? Well, I'm seeing a number of posts of people that are playing the game, and they're saying, wow, I never expected this game to be as good as it is. It's got the flow, it's got the sauce, it's got the performance, obviously, it's got the portability play, and it's got the right system that it's on. Pokemon Pokopia coming out of nowhere, impressing people when it comes to the hands-on and the reviews, to the point to where so many people are now picking the game up and actually buying a Nintendo Switch 2 for Pokemon Pokopia. Pokemon is a massive franchise that has huge system selling potential, not just the mainline games. Obviously, Pokemon Winds and Waves, that is going to be even bigger than Pokopia, but also just the Pokemon brand in general. If there's spin-offs or other types of games, that can bring in so many people. And if you're talking about Animal Crossing and Pokemon mashed together, all seasoned up with some Dragon Quest builders as well from the team that made those games, I think that's a match made in heaven. And what you're seeing right now is an explosion when it comes to Pokemon Pokopia, because we have the initial sales rankings. Now we have to wait and see for the sales numbers, which are going to be happening next week in Japan, and Nintendo will let us know at their investors meeting, but that won't be for another couple months or so, because the game comes out March. We're going to find out the sales in a couple of months, so we'll have to wait for that. But I'm guessing that the game actually started out pretty good. However, the Pokemon Company might actually give us sales before then, so we might see, like, after the opening week, if they feel like announcing it, which I don't know if they will, but if they feel like it, they will talk about it there. But I do think that it's going to do pretty good. This could be one of the better selling Pokemon spin-off type of games. But on Amazon right now, kind of alluding to the sales rankings thing that I talked about, on Amazon, it's actually #1 for the game key card physical version, and it's #1 on the eShop as well. So a lot of people are diving into Pokopia. Now, some felt that, the key card situation, that might kind of turn people back from buying a Switch 2 or buying Pokemon 4, and maybe that's the case. But right now, we can't tell, because it's #1 on the eShop, and it's #1 for overall games on Amazon, and #1 for Nintendo Switch 2 games on Amazon. So physical, people are buying it. It seems like in Japan, it's ranking pretty well when it comes to pre-orders and everything. And with everything here, it looks like people are just having a bunch of fun with the game. So I do think that Pokopia, believe it or not, is a big piece of the puzzle here, where things are really just starting to pick up for the year as Nintendo heads into the spring, getting some of the other games dated in big events coming up. Now let's talk about what's happening here with the post, because I know this is not super big evidence of massive sales or anything like that, but I do think that having exclusives, and there's been a lot of talk about PlayStation now backing away from doing PC single player games. They're still going to do their multiplayer stuff for PC, but their big single player stuff like Soros and Wolverine, those games are probably not going to be heading to PC anymore. And there's a number of reasons for that. I do think that Sony wants to keep that exclusivity to be competitive against the Nintendo Switch 2. I think they want to avoid the loophole of the next Xbox being able to circumvent the exclusivity when it comes to them being able to have PC games running on the system. You can go through Steam or any other PC web front. So I think there's a number of different things here. Why? And I think that Sony also wants to increase the value of their system. But what we're seeing on Twitter is just that. People are saying, well, I have to get a Nintendo Switch 2 because I want to play X, Y, or Z game. And I've seen even some of these people say that they weren't going to buy one or they don't need one, but now they want one at this point. Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming, Pokemon Pokopia is here, and there's going to be a lot more. So it's the value proposition of why people are buying it, because they know that Nintendo's going to supply a lot of exclusives and has already supplied more exclusives, not including PC releases, than Microsoft and Sony combined with the Nintendo Switch 2, according to a new report. So you can go through and count them yourself if you want. So that is interesting, and I think that's what people are buying the Nintendo Switch 2 for. They're buying it for that promise of exclusive content that enhances the value of the system. Now, someday will Nintendo probably have games on other platforms? Sure, someday. I think that they'll probably do something on PC, they'll probably do something on a different platform if it makes sense. But I think as long as the current leadership passes down the knowledge from the previous leadership on how to run things, that's not going to happen. There has to be some type of drastic change business-wise that gets them thinking that we can't do this anymore, but we can still sustain our console or hardware business, or something else just has to completely change when it comes to hardware and how they do things, or just how things are distributed from how it is now, which could change in the future. But for right now, obviously the value of Nintendo Switch 2 being able to play a big suite of Nintendo Switch 1 games, in addition to playing Nintendo Switch 2 games, having your Switch 1 games enhanced. You can also have upgrade packs. There's all sorts of stuff. People are actually seeing the value. And once again, Twitter is not some type of be-all, end-all, but I am seeing a ton of posts of people picking up Pokemon Pokopia, or picking up a Nintendo Switch 2 with Pokemon Legends ZA, or with the Mario Kart World Bundle, or with Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's just getting started here because there's going to be a lot more games to come. And speaking of a lot more games to come, the next big Nintendo Direct. And I know that people are tired of talking about this. Look, Nintendo will announce it when they want to announce it, but this big next Nintendo Direct is going to be key and vital for laying out what fans can expect for the next number of months till we get to the fall or holiday season. Because if you look at it, Nintendo still has a number of games that they haven't dated. I've talked about this in multiple videos, but I feel very strong about it. We still need Splatoon Raiders. We still have to talk about Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. There's the Dusk Bloods. There's Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. There's Rhythm Heaven. There's so many other games that Nintendo still needs to detail and talk about, plus reveal new games. Now that we know that Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming out in 2027, which I think is probably going to be the first quarter of 2027, there needs to be at least a holiday game or two, a big holiday game or two. Got the 40th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda. That's probably going to slot in there somewhere. And we've probably got maybe a new 3D Mario game or something from the Mario team, as it's been so long since Super Mario Odyssey, going on 9 years now at this point. And that main team with Koizumi, they weren't the ones who was making Donkey Kong Bonanza. It was the new guy that came over from Square Enix in 2020 that got handed the keys to that. So the big Mario Odyssey team has been working on something as well. And that Mario team, they've got a lot of people there. They're always adding. So I do think that something could happen there. And at this next big Nintendo Direct, there could be something shown off. We got Mario Day coming up, so that's going to be interesting. I don't think there's going to be anything announced there. They've already talked about the Virtual Console with the Virtual Boy. Some Mario games are coming with that, but I don't think there's going to be anything too much bigger when it comes to Mario Day. Maybe some other little festivities here and there, but I would expect a Nintendo Direct to be coming sometime in March or April. I don't think it goes past April because we still need, once again, release dates for games that were dated last year in September, like Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Nintendo does and how big that Direct is going to be, because I think this could be the really good one that people are definitely anticipating. But in the meantime, there's games like Resident Evil Requiem, which I just beat on the Nintendo Switch 2 as of the time that I'm recording this video, and it's freaking awesome. I'm going to play through again on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'll probably do some extra runs on Nintendo Switch 2, but awesome with that. And of course, there's other big games from Capcom coming out when it comes to Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection, Pragmata, and more. So I'm looking forward to playing those games. And of course, that big Nintendo Direct is going to be glorious. There's going to be a lot more people picking up a Nintendo Switch 2 once they reveal some of the release dates and some of the big new games that we do not know about just yet. Okay, for this final thing here, we got to talk about the system capabilities, because this was something that was very interesting. An old tweet from Tom Warren, who's an editor at The Verge, came up and people were kind of passing it around, and it talks about the Nintendo Switch 2 power and kind of what he was expecting at the time. So back on January 1st, 2025, before we even knew any details about the Nintendo Switch 2 or anything like that, it was actually even before Nintendo officially showed off the system, Tom Warren said, "There are so many rumors floating around about the Switch 2, but the funniest one is about it being as powerful as a PS4 Pro." So he didn't think it would be as powerful as a PS4 Pro based on whatever he felt like it. But the craziest thing was right underneath that. Mr. John Linden from Digital Foundry stated that is funny because it's likely to be quite superior in many ways due to using modern NVIDIA architecture with access to features the PS4 Pro does not. As a portable device though, it will be limited in other different areas. So what ultimately ended up happening is that the Nintendo Switch 2 obviously is more powerful than a PlayStation 4 Pro. Now you can talk about teraflop counts and all of that, but that doesn't really matter at the end of the day, especially because you're talking about two different architectures and how they even compute or look at teraflops. It's completely different between ARM and x86. Super power heavy, power hungry, having a lot of wattage compared to a 10-watt device or something. So even right there, the power imbalance in terms of pound for pound is completely different. But another thing is that you can look and see the Nintendo Switch 2 has more RAM and better quality RAM, and it has a better CPU, and you can look at the comparisons with all of the games that are on PlayStation 4 Pro compared to the Nintendo Switch 2, and Nintendo Switch 2 usually outperforms the PlayStation 4 Pro versions, whether that's due to the RAM, due to the CPU, due to the DLSS, due to the architecture, doesn't really matter. It's outperforming it at the end of the day. Then you also look at what some developers have said, stating that it's more closer to the Xbox Series S when it comes to that. So the Nintendo Switch 2, very capable machine, especially if you're looking at the price point for it. If you look at the other systems that are out there when it comes to handheld PCs, for example, a lot of those can offer more power, but you're looking at $1,000, or you're looking at $700, $800. You're looking at a much more pricier system. But for $450, being able to do what the Nintendo Switch does, I think is what's converting a lot of people. And like I said, it's just getting started here with what developers are going to be able to do with the system. We're seeing great results with Resident Evil Requiem. We're seeing awesome stuff when it comes to already what happened with Cyberpunk and other games. So I think as developers get more comfortable with the system, they're going to be able to pull off some pretty cool games. Yes, it's not going to be as big or as bad as the PS6 when that comes out. Obviously, that's going to be a powerhouse system. Same thing with the next Xbox Magnus and all of that. But that's not the point. The point is to be able to offer a wide range and a wide array of being able to play games in different types of styles. And a lot of developers understand this because not everyone is going to be able to drop $600, $700, $800 on new systems coming out when PS5 is really, in my opinion, just getting going for real, really hitting some of its stride when it comes down to it. But it's hitting a lot of the roadblocks that we see with the economy right now, just like Nintendo Switch 2. So I do think that it's not going to be a home run just releasing a new system and expecting everyone to go out there and buy it right away when the PS5 and the PS5 Pro are really capable and good systems. I've been playing Resident Evil 5 Requiem as well on PS5 Pro, and it looks and runs so good on there. So I do think that having the Nintendo Switch being able to handle a lot of these games that are coming over to Xbox and PlayStation, developers finding creative ways to get it done, but ultimately Nintendo and their own first-party support and what they're going to be able to do with the system, which we haven't even quite seen to its fullest yet. We've seen some good stuff. Obviously, Mario Kart World, that game would have buckled on the Nintendo Switch 1 like Nintendo stated. Donkey Kong Bonanza, once again, would have buckled 30 FPS with frame rate dips, but we still need to see some of those advanced, built ground up when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2. Monolith Soft, the Zelda team, Super Mario 3D team, when it comes to Animal Crossing, what they're going to be doing, Super Smash Brothers and Masahiro Sakurai, there's still so much left in the tank and so much that they can be doing for this system. So that's why I say like the power and what it's capable of, also the affordability, portability, and having the fact that you have the dock and everything all ready to go. That is huge for people, and I just can't wait till I see more of what's happening here. Gaming is in a very interesting state. There's a lot of stuff that's happening when it comes to prices and when it comes to RAM, and if you can play everything, or if you can get everything, or if you're lucky enough, more like it, I stick to my PlayStation 5 Pro and my Nintendo Switch 2, but however you decide to play games, I think that's the fun thing, and discussing it is also super fun. I really enjoy doing all of this. So for me, at least, it's all about just talk about what's going to happen with gaming, and that's what it's been like here for a long time since I've been making videos on my channel, talking about the cool stuff, talking about different games, and however you decide to play, that's all good. For me at least, with the Nintendo Switch 2, very exciting times. Nintendo Direct I think is coming up. Big games are going to be announced and revealed. Games that we already know about need release dates. I think it's going to be a stacked 2025 year, first and third party support wise. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of that. But what do you guys think when it comes to everything here that I talked about? A lot of different stuff with the Nintendo Switch 2. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.